Hey everyone, welcome. Look, if you've ever felt totally overwhelmed by the crypto world, you are definitely not alone. So today, what we're going to do is build a simple, repeatable method to help you navigate all that chaos with a bit more confidence.
I mean, think about it. There are thousands of projects out there, right? And every single one of them is screaming that they're the next big thing. So how on earth do you tell the difference between a real innovation and, well, a trap that's just dressed up in a bunch of marketing hype? It's maybe the most important question you can ask in this space.
Okay, so how do we actually do that? Well, we're going to use a simple framework. And let's be clear, this isn't about turning you into a crypto genius overnight. Nope, the goal here is to give you a mental toolkit, a way to spot the most common traps, just by asking the right questions right from the start.
All right, first up is what I like to call the 7-point sanity check. We're going to focus on the really foundational questions here. These are the big ones that are going to help you cut through the noise. So your first 3 checks are, what problem does it solve? Who is actually using it today? And why is it better than the alternatives? These 3 questions are the absolute bedrock of good research. Get these right and you're already way ahead of the curve. Let's break them down. Okay, question 1. What problem does this thing really solve? This is your first and maybe most important filter. You got to cut through all the jargon, all the crazy diagrams. If a project can't explain its core purpose in one simple, clear sentence, that's a problem.
And you can see the difference right away, can't you? A good project says something like, we make international payments 10 times cheaper. Simple. A red flag project will hit you with, we are revolutionizing the financial paradigm with synergistic Web3 infrastructure. You know, it's just a bunch of buzzwords designed to sound impressive, but mean absolutely nothing.
All right, so once you know what it does, the next question is, who is using it today? Because look, a great idea is just an idea. Adoption is everything. Is anyone actually showing up to this party, or is it just a ghost town with a really expensive website and a huge marketing budget?
And this is where a lot of people get tripped up. They see a project with 100,000 followers on Twitter and think, wow, this must be huge. But a big social media community does not equal real users. You have to look for the proof, and that proof is on-chain. You can actually see the transactions happening. Anything else is just noise.
Okay, check number 3. Why should I care about this project versus all its competitors? I mean, let's be real. No project exists in a vacuum. For every idea, there are probably a dozen other teams trying to do the exact same thing. So what makes this one special?
And here's the key. You're looking for a real, provable edge. Anyone can slap faster and cheaper on their website. It's meaningless. A solid project will show you the data. They'll show you the benchmarks. And, this is super important, they'll be honest about the trade-offs they had to make to get there.
Okay, so we've looked at the big picture. Now let's zoom in and decode the token's DNA. This is kind of like looking under the hood of a car. Is the engine designed for the long haul, or is it built for a quick burst of hype before it falls apart? This is where so many projects completely unravel. And that brings us to this word you see thrown around all the time, tokenomics. It sounds super complicated, but don't let it scare you. All it really means is the economics of the token. You know, how many are there, who gets them, and what can you actually do with them? That's it.
So this leads to a really critical question. Why does this token even need to exist? Seriously, ask yourself this. If you could just replace the token with a regular old database, would the project still work? If the answer is yes, that is a huge red flag. The token has to have a real job.
And what does a real job look like? Well, a healthy token might be used to pay for fees on the network, kind of like digital gas. Or maybe you can stake it, which just means locking it up, to help secure the network and earn rewards. Or maybe it gives you voting rights. The point is it has to do something essential.
But what the token does is only half the story. You also have to look at its supply. You've got to be careful here. If you see a project with only, say, 10% of its tokens currently in circulation, that's like a ticking time bomb. It means there's a massive wave of new supply coming in the future that could totally crush the price.
All right, so a great idea, solid tokenomics, that's all good stuff. But it means nothing if the whole thing is built on a shaky foundation. So now let's talk about the tech and the actual team behind the project.
And let's just be super clear about this. Is the technology safe enough to even touch? Because in crypto, tech risk is financial risk, period. Before you even think about putting a single dollar into a project, you have to look at its security. This is absolutely non-negotiable.
So what does that look like? Well, a project that's serious about security will be shouting it from the rooftops. They'll have multiple audits from good firms. They'll pay people to find bugs. The shady projects,
They'll hide behind complicated code, or even worse, they'll have something called admin keys, which is basically just a secret backdoor for the founders to do whatever they want.
And then, of course, there's the team. Who are these people? You've got to judge them by what they've actually built, not what they promise to build. Execution is everything. It's the difference between a real project and a fancy website that just says coming soon forever.
Okay, we've covered a lot. To wrap things up, let's put together a little crypto survival kit. Think of this as your quick guide to spotting the most common scams and traps you're going to run into out there.
And these are the greatest hits, the absolute classics of crypto scams. You've got phishing sites that look real but steal your info. You've got the fake airdrop sites that trick you into signing a transaction that drains your whole wallet. And my personal favorite, the honeypot, a token they let you buy, but the code makes it literally impossible to sell. Recognizing these patterns is your best defense.
Look, if you remember only one thing from all of this, please let it be this quote. If it feels too good to be true, it almost certainly is. This is your #1 built-in scam detector. Guaranteed 100x returns, secret trading bot, it's a trap. Every single time.
And this is the secret sauce for every scammer out there: urgency. They create a false panic to make you act without thinking. Limited spots available. Act now before it's too late. Your wallet will be suspended. The absolute best thing you can do is just slow down. Take a breath. A real project will still be there tomorrow.
Okay, so let's quickly run through your key takeaways. Remember, research is a process, not just a feeling. Use that checklist we talked about to stay grounded. Focus on what the team has actually done, not what they promise. Trust the on-chain data, not the Twitter hype. And above all, listen to that little voice in your head when it says, this seems a little too good to be true.
Because at the end of the day, using a framework like this helps you make a really important shift. You stop gambling on hype, and you start investing your time in understanding what's real. The goal isn't to find the next hot coin, it's to find a project that's actually worth your time and attention. It's about finding the real builders. The only question is, are you ready to do the work to find them?